Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm Nick Lepre. I'm joined with Matt Gajewski, as per usual at this point, right? Every single video, just me and you hanging out recently. So how are you doing today?
Doing good. Enjoying these videos with you, my friend. Enjoying the off season.
Definitely. It's been a fun time so far. We have joined into the draft. So if you guys do want to join up with us on Underdog Fantasy, we are queuing for the Best Ball Mania 3 tournament. We're currently waiting on 3 people. This is failing slightly faster than I thought it would, if I'm being honest with you. I joined and there was like 8 open spots. Now we're waiting on 2 others. So hopefully everyone in the chat is having a great day. What is going on? Short Gamer TV. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone in chat is doing well. How are you doing today, Matt? You feeling good?
Yeah, man. Excited for another Monday draft. We're starting to get more and more news, players reporting to minicamp. So we're kind of starting the offseason cycle. It's been nice.
Yeah, it's been really nice. And obviously there's going to start being some negative news as players start to get hurt. But right now it's all positive, right? No main players have gotten hurt yet.
For the most part, it's been positive. A couple, I don't know how to put this, like players in timeshares, reportings like that. But otherwise, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, today it came out that Tony Pollard is going to be playing in the slot more, and Twitter lost their minds. Like, wow, are you surprised that a player who's that good is going to get more playing time? What a shocker.
No,
right?
they do that a lot, but like one I think might be more legitimate is like the Raiders beat said Josh Jacobs unlikely to be the bell cow in 2022. I think a lot of their offseason moves have reflected that for like these running backs playing in the slot. We've been seeing that year over year over year over year, and it just never happens. So anytime I see players lining up in the slot more in the offseason, completely write it off unless they are just some sort of crazy freak.
Yeah, unless it's Cordero Patterson, then you got to buy right in.
Yeah, maybe if it was a receiver that transitioned to running backs lining up in the slot, but if it's vice versa, it almost never happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's really the only recent news I've heard. Anything off the top of your head?
Terry McLaurin skipping OTAs, I think that makes sense. He's trying to get paid.
Yeah.
If I were him, I would force my way out unless you get like a super long-term deal. Like he's never going to have anything that's worthwhile in Washington. Sorry, Commanders fans, but like that quarterback's just been a turnstile, I guess, since RG3. I mean, it's been rough for him, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better under Wentz. So if he doesn't get paid now, I think he could be at risk of hurting himself in the future.
Yeah, our draft has actually started, or it's going to start in 40 seconds. The only other news blurb I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into the draft is, do you think David Johnson potentially signing with the Saints has any relevance to fantasy football or no?
No, I think he's Mark Ingram insurance. McKinnon did side with the Chiefs. I mean, that's at least
that's true.
That's somewhat noteworthy. I think he's still the RB3, but probably more your Edwards-Helaire replacement if he were to go down than Ronald Jones.
Agreed. Short Gamer TV is in our draft, so it's nice to see people joining with us. And we did get the 101, so we can make our decision right now. You want Jonathan Taylor again?
Yeah.
I'm in agreement.
It's an ADP thing for me. Like, if you want to have a balanced portfolio with enough Jonathan Taylor, you just can't skip him at the 101. Even though if I were doing one single draft, I would pick McCaffrey.
Gotcha. And yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of luck that goes into where you're drafting. I found myself drafting in the number 1 spot. I was watching, was it game 4 of the NBA Finals with Laufey and Josh, and I just went ahead and did a bunch of drafts, and I got the 101 3 times in a row. So I guess the luck's been in my favor.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking. But congrats to you. You should be feeling good about your Jonathan Taylor exposure.
Yeah, definitely. So after Jonathan Taylor came Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp. Right now, where we're sitting right now in June, how comfortable are you taking Cooper Kupp inside the top 5? Are you very fine doing it, or are you typically a running back super early kind of guy?
I'm okay with Kupp in the top 5, more towards the latter end of that. I would be much happier if I was at 4 or 5. But
Mm.
we've talked about this on previous streams. Receivers not quite as deep, or I guess maybe we could say there are questions for some of the receivers that are coming off the board, maybe outside the top 15. So that is something that's kind of been different from years prior. So if you can lock up a bona fide wide receiver one you feel good about in Cup, I think you should be happy with that.
Yeah, I agree. It's very interesting. It seems like the last couple of years, the first 5 picks have basically been almost every time all running backs, but now people are really hopping on the wide receiver wave. Here we see 3 go in the top 5.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I mean, the running backs just get hurt at such a high frequency,
Yeah.
especially the guys you would like to draft in your top five. I mean, you're drafting the players that have the most touches, which correlates directly with the highest injury risk. So, a lot of chances to potentially win or lose your league up there. And we've seen it year over year. Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. Then you have your league winners as well, like Dalvin Cooks.
Yeah, definitely. So after we saw Chase came Eckler, Derrick Henry, and Najee Harris. Right now, do you feel like Derrick Henry's kind of fallen a little bit, or are you fine at the 107 where he's going in most
I
drafts?
think in this draft he's fallen a little bit. Usually you see him right around that top five, if not inside it. So if I like in this particular draft at number 7, I think you would have just ran that pick up to the board. Typically, I'm seeing him go a little higher.
Okay. Yeah, and I do agree. I like Derrick Henry a ton. Obviously, the pass catching opportunities just are not going to be there. Even though last year he actually saw a lot more work than I expected. After him, Najee Harris, Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook, and Devontae Adams. Now, that's very interesting to see Stephon Diggs go at the 109. Typically, you see him fall into the second round.
I'm okay with him at 109 too. I think he should be in that range, but ultimately, like I'm not trying to reach in these drafts. So I might have Stephon Diggs ranked 8th overall, which is where I have him. But in these drafts, I don't want to reach if you can get him later. So I think that's something you always need to be cognizant of the rankings you're looking at too, or if you're making them yourself. Like nobody has this, but for example, if you thought Stephon Diggs was the second overall player in all of fantasy, you still wouldn't want to draft him there just to be balanced in your portfolio strategy.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest riser I've seen recently in drafts is the guy who just came off the board. I didn't know if he was going to get picked or not, but that's Mark Andrews, in my opinion. It seems like Mark Andrews is just rising up the draft board at a rapid rate. And with how things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if in some of your guys' drafts, if Andrews goes ahead of Kelsey at this rate.
I wouldn't be surprised by that either, especially if the Chiefs sort of bring someone in or something.
Yeah, definitely. So after Andrews came Leonard Fournette. So we are up in 6 picks. We already have Jonathan Taylor. Is there anyone you got your eye on? I know we're 6 picks away, but we could still definitely still look towards it.
Yeah, honestly, it's really just the top of the board right now. I certainly prefer Aaron Jones to DeAndre Swift, but if we ended up with any sort of Debo Samuel, Kamara, Higgins, I would be happy with any of that. But it looks like we might end up with one of these backs here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Debo is in a pretty interesting spot right now because it's super easy to stack him with Trey Lance because for some reason people still haven't adjusted to the fact that if Trey Lance plays, he's probably top 5 quarterback. He's quarterback 11 right now, ADP 89.3, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and he was even coming off the board lower than that. I believe our last one, he was outside the top 100. So
Yeah,
it's adjusting a little bit, but still not enough.
agreed. So we are up in 1 pick. We do have 2 picks back to back here. So we'll see how things go here. I do know you like Aaron Jones more than DeAndre Swift. Of course, I said that. And then Aaron Jones comes
Well,
off the
so
board. So who are you thinking?
I would have them. I have them like right next to each other. I just if I have to pick between the two, I want Jones, but Swift right now is a no-brainer.
Okay, so Swift, and then who do you want with the second pick?
I would just roll right into AJ Brown.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think a lot of people are not as high on AJ Brown as they should. I understand that, oh, he's on a run heavy team. He was on a run heavy team in Tennessee, right? They had Derek fucking Henry. So AJ Brown will be fine in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the alternatives. You have Keenan Allen approaching age 30, Mike Williams, who's never done it for longer than a 5-game sample, Michael Pittman, who also needs to take the next step to really be drafted in this range. And I love Michael Pittman, but he's still a player who hasn't done it on a run heavy team with Jonathan Taylor. So, I mean, among the players at the top, he is the least amount of questions to me where we just drafted.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a fall off right after Keenan Allen, right? With my confidence level. Like you said, a guy like Mike Williams, like I can see him being a top 5 receiver, but I could also see him flaming out. Same thing with guys Michael Pittman, Waddle, all those guys. So feel very confident with AJ Brown. In the chat, Captain Spock said, note to fantasy players, Underdog ADP is based off of a 2-day rolling average. I think that the rankings are fine to use if you're looking at a redraft league, but definitely not for Dynasty. And then Captain Spock also said he does not trust Jalen Hurts' passing. His metrics suck. Well, I would argue that even if he's not the greatest of passers, he's definitely going to be feeding the ball to AJ Brown, right? You don't trade that pick. You don't give him all that money for him to be not used, in my opinion.
He was actually decent as a passer. Not great. I'm definitely not going to argue that. It's just, can he get A.J. Brown the ball in an efficient manner? And we've already seen A.J. Brown produce with less than efficient quarterback play, primarily last year. So it's not really a huge worry. It's a lateral move offensively. It's not any sort of upgrade or downgrade.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting that A.J. Brown said he was the best receiver in Titans history. And to be honest, he doesn't rank there, but he could be one of the best.
I'm just running through the receivers I remember quickly. He very well might be.
Yeah, I was looking at a list and I didn't remember very many of them. So that he really, I mean, he only played 3 years there, so he's not like on top of the ladder or anything. But in terms of skilled players, AJ Brown's got to be one of the top guys.
Yeah, if you adjusted those stats for like a per game basis or something, he might be the best.
Probably. So we are 13 picks away here. Interesting to see Josh Allen fall all the way into the third round. I don't know how many of these drafts you've been doing, but he goes in the second round in a lot of these drafts now.
Yeah, he's another one of those picks where I think, similar to Derrick Henry, where if he fell that far and you were on the clock, you would just run it up.
Yeah, I completely agree. He is, for me, the clear number one quarterback, but I still don't feel comfortable just taking one that high in like a regular redraft draft. Obviously, it's different here in best ball, but in a redraft league in the third round, I'd rather just wait till like the sixth round and take like Lamar Jackson, who I think could also finish as the number one quarterback.
I'd rather wait till the 10th and take Trey Lance.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. If people continue to sleep on him, then yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're talking about redraft. You'll probably be making those decisions later in the fall. But as for right now, my goodness, Trey Lance is an incredible value.
Agreed. What are your thoughts on DJ Moore? It seems like maybe Robbie Anderson's going to retire. Do you think that has any influence on Moore, or does that influence your thoughts on maybe
I
a guy
think
like
Robbie
Terrace
just
Marshall?
reported to camp today. I think it was all just, I don't know, diva wide receiver talk. The pick I'm really interested in is James Conner, and picking him at 4.3, I think that's the best pick of the entire draft right now. Getting a bell cow back with arguably a better workload than DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, in an offense which is going to be very good and competitive this year. I cannot believe he's going this late.
Yeah, a player that's definitely going to rise up the draft boards, in my opinion, is another running back that probably will come off the board before we can pick, and that's Travis Etienne. I really think a lot of people are going to start catching on to him and start drafting him very highly, just knowing how much receiving upside he has.
Yeah, I'm really surprised people are reaching on these receivers over him. Like, I would not take Gabriel Davis over Etienne.
Yeah, I agree. But with Gabe Davis, the upside is also crazy.
He's going to be the wide receiver too, no matter what, outside of injury. So you're banking on the offense. But I do like Gabe Davis, but I do think there's some more upside for other players in this range.
Gotcha. And yeah, I agree. So where we're picking right now, we may actually be able to get ETN. Probably not though, because I just mentioned it. Right now, he's going to get picked. But
one pick, man.
Only one more pick. What are your thoughts, real quick? On oh, never mind, because we're about to pick. We have to pick twice. So if we get ETN here, who would you want to go with the second pick?
Waller.
Waller. Okay,
yeah,
that's fine with me. All right, so we have a pretty balanced start to the draft. I was actually reading an article that Underdog wrote about the Best Ball Mania winner from last season. It was very interesting how like the top 5 teams all drafted in widely different ways. So ETN and Waller are the picks here.
Yeah, we could talk about that a lot. I think a lot of people are, I don't know how to put this, maybe over evaluating what won last year and what is won the year prior, because we're in such a small sample size with best ball, and it's just only now being widely open to the public. So you're dealing with drastically different field sizes. Like, I think the first best ball winner took down like 250K, and this year this one has 10 million in prize money. So we're talking about immensely different field sizes, different strength of competition. And especially on a site like Underdog, which is driven largely by the fantasy industry, like all the touts, people reading like ETR, our content, hopefully, like you're getting a pretty sharp product overall. So at what point do some of these concepts get a little bit overvalued is the question I have. And I think we've gotten there with some of them, like stacking being the main one. You see a lot of people reaching on players for stacks nowadays. At some point, that is not good. If you're just giving up so much value in raw ADP to complete a stack, maybe the player you would have drafted instead of the stack projects higher just on a raw projection basis. So I think some of these things have gotten a little bit too crazy.
Yeah, a lot of this week 17 talk that's just blowing up Twitter and everywhere basically about how you need the week 17 stack. What if you don't get to week 17, right?
You
What if you
don't.
don't get there because your team was in jeopardy the other weeks? I mean, I don't know. I'm
Or
not forcing
how
that.
about this? You do the Bengals Joe Burrow stack, and you end up with T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and then it's Tyler Boyd that has 2 touchdowns. So you maybe forewent like a really good player, like I don't know, a player going off the board by Joe Burrow specifically, but say you forego a skill position player there who
Mhm.
is not correlated, but I mean he's not negatively correlated. So if you draft like I'm going to use I don't know Elijah Moore as an example. If you draft Joe Burrow ahead of Elijah Moore, sure, Elijah Moore isn't correlated with the T. Higgins pick, but he's also not negatively correlated. Like Elijah Moore can still have a big game himself.
Yeah, I agree. In the chat, Joe says, as the summer progresses and more drafts happen, I think you'll see Akers move up the board. I'm not sure I agree with that. I like Cam Akers, I think, a little bit more than you do, but I don't really see him rising too much, especially with the injury that happened to him. And he didn't look that great when he came back.
Man, so I was on Twitter. I'm not prepared for this, but someone sold me a little bit more on Akers recently.
Mhm.
It might have been John Daigle, but basically they tweeted the opportunity shares of all Rams backs, like when there's a clear starter and one of them didn't get hurt in the game, and it was unbelievable. Look, even whether it was Sony Michelle, Daryl Henderson, or Cam Akers, when there was a clear starter that didn't get hurt, it was something like they handled 80+% of the touches. And I don't have the
That makes
exact
sense.
figures in front of me, but man, I was just blown away by that number. And if that's the opportunity Akers gets, he'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like Akers a decent amount, but I'm just not super high on him to where I don't really see him cracking the top 2 rounds, like unless there was like 4 injuries right ahead of him.
Yeah, I think right now the prevailing sentiment is he was definitely less efficient. Henderson was solid, and they're going to split to some degree. That goes
Mhm.
directly against the history of Sean McVay, but he's also kind of playing with a different situation. So I think it's kind of trying to bridge that gap this year. So I think I personally need to move Akers up.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I think,
Uh,
again, I'm a little lower than you to begin with.
Gotcha. So looking at the board right now, we have 3 running backs, 1 receiver, 1 tight end. Again, there's no perfect way instantly to crack the code, right? Drafting 3 running backs could be the winner. Drafting no running backs in the first 7 rounds of the draft could be the winner of this. But 0 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 1 receiver, 1 tight end. What are we looking at here? We're 4 picks away.
We're probably looking at a pass catcher unless there's an incredible value at a different position.
Mhm.
So I like some of the receivers on the board at risk of getting sniped. I won't say them directly, but there's a couple guys even on the screen I think we're okay with.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm pretty comfortable as well. One guy that I have just basically put my stamp on that I'm not drafting at all is DeAndre Hopkins. I've auto drafted him multiple times. I'm just not paying attention. Like on like those slow drafts where it takes like 8 hours and then you just fall asleep and you wake up and I have DeAndre Hopkins. But besides that, he's a guy that I'm clear fading away from. So we are 1 pick away. I don't think Dean James is here. So hopefully you say these picks and they don't get cursed here.
Yeah, I like Thielen at the top, and Burks would be my number 2.
I agree. Those would be my top 2 as well. I think Brandon Ayuk's in a pretty interesting spot because last year he was so highly drafted and just did not work out. Like maybe that was just a really down year for him. And of course, Thielen gets picked. So you want Burks and you like
Yeah.
Renfro, Ayuk.
What show what we have at quarterback quick? Otherwise,
Quarterback is Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, Tom
yeah,
Brady,
we're not
Dak.
doing that. Go to wide receiver.
Okay.
Honestly, my preference would be probably man, it's hard. Gage or Renfro, sorry. But we already have Waller, so then we're pretty much boxing ourselves into a Derek Carr stack.
Okay. So we got Burks.
I would
I'm
rather have Gage.
okay. I think that's pretty interesting. I would have went with Renfro, but not super out of the ordinary. I have 0 Christian Kirk. I have completely
So
faded Christian
this
Kirk.
hasn't unless you want to do the Derek Carr stack, which I think we can do. If we're
All
going
right.
on full completion, I would take Renfro.
Okay. Then let's just go for the stack here and go with
Okay.
Renfro. Did we get absolutely did we miss out on Hurts? Did Hurts go way earlier than I thought he was going to?
I think he's off the board already.
He is. So, oh wow, he went before Murray. That's pretty interesting.
I don't like that, but I love Hurts in a vacuum.
Yeah, no, I like Hurts as well. I'm just shocked that he went that high. And then, as I say that, right, Rodgers goes at the 702, and I don't think that's super egregious, but I'd rather have the guys ahead of him that are still on the board now.
Me as well. I would rather have Lance ahead of him.
All right. So, real quick, this has basically nothing to do with our draft, but it was a question, so I figured we might as well answer it. Akers, Dobbins, ETN, Chubb, rank them in Dynasty. I would go with Chubb, ETN, Dobbins, Akers.
Same for me.
Yeah, so basically the exact reverse of what you said. Joe commented, I'm seeing Burks come up on the board. I understand the hype for him, but why no love for Bobby Trees? I think there is still some love for Robert Woods out there, right? It's not like Robert Woods is just buried in the rankings. Where does he go? He goes at pick 105, so 25 picks from now. Get 25 pick discount from Burks to him. I'd just prefer to have the new guy that they drafted, in my opinion, who's not coming off an injury.
Yeah, Woods is coming out the injury. He's at a point in his career where you historically see players drop off a little bit. And then, historically, he's been a role player. So he's always behind, whether it's been Brandon Cooks or Cooper Kupp or whoever's leading that Rams offense. It's seldom been him as the clear de facto alpha. If anything, he's the 1A, 1B in an offense like that.
All right. And then another question from Brian. He said, Dobbins, Akers, Hall, Chubb, Harris, rank them. I would go with, I assume that's Najee Harris. So Najee Harris, Chubb, that'd go. I'm basically
Brees
doing the
Hall.
reverse again. Yeah. Hall, Akers, Dobbins.
I would flip Chubb and Hall.
Okay.
And we flipped Dobbins and Akers, I think, in our first one.
Okay. No, that's fine as well. So my thoughts on Chubb kind of is that I feel like if Watson is good to go like next year, then I think Chubb's going to see a huge boost from that.
Man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire just went really late.
He's going very late now, and it's not surprising, to be honest. I mean, he did burn so many people the last couple of years.
Man, I'm gonna end up back on it.
No, I'm back on it already. Right when he goes in like the 8th round of some drafts. I wish I could click on him and see his ADP. That's something I wish Underdog had. Oh, I could actually. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. His ADP, motherfucker. Why does it do that? His ADP is 76.5. So no, he was picked at 84. So he was picked after his ADP. But very
just missed Lance. Lance ahead of Dak is pretty interesting, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't think that's that out of the ordinary, if I'm being honest with you. I think a very consistent version of Dak, though, might be a top 5 quarterback.
For sure. Their defense isn't that good either. They keep getting worse because of the salary cap constraints they put themselves in.
Definitely. I like the way we built our team so far, because now we don't have to reach on any of these running backs that are in this range that are just like so uninteresting. Like, unless Walker's the starting running back, like, how interested are you in Walker, Patterson, Harris, Hunt? Not very much, in my opinion.
Well, the thing is, I like some of these guys, but you can get at least 1 or 2 of them a round or 2 later. So to have to reach on one of them in round 8 is not something I want to do. But if one of them is still there in round 10, then I would pull the trigger. But it's to your point, I like this construction more because I don't feel the need to take multiple guys in this range.
Gotcha. So we're up. We got 25 seconds. We already have a tight end. Otherwise, my pick would have been Dallas Goedert. What are you looking at here?
Mine would be Garrett Wilson here. It's reaching down the board a little bit, but you might be getting the Jets wide receiver 1.
Okay. I don't think that's much of a reach, to be honest with you. And then who would you go with the next pick?
It would be Goddard for me too. If we didn't already have, like at this point, do we want 2 Philadelphia pass catchers? I would probably say no. So I'm probably just taking the value in Dak.
Dak? Okay. That makes sense. And then you also got the Dallas Philadelphia run back in that 1 game or 2 games. I don't know when they play each other off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're division games. You're going to get multiple games like that.
Yeah. Well, unless they play week 18 when it doesn't count.
I don't have the schedule committed to memory, unlike some analysts.
Yeah.
I don't have the week 17 tattoo sketched on my forearm yet.
Yeah, not yet. I just attach it to my shoe like I did in high school when I had to cheat. You just put it in your shoe, and then you just open that up, and then you have it like written down. That's how you do it. All the kids in high school.
That's a great idea, though. We should look into that.
All right. So since we have Dak, do you feel as though now we almost have to pick a guy like Jalen Tolbert later?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
With Dak, it makes a little more sense. I mean, because like Tolbert isn't going with any sort of draft capital. It's kind of what I was saying earlier, where I'm not forcing stacks to be completed just to have the stack if it's coming at the cost of ADP value. But like to your point with Tolbert, like you're not paying anything for Tolbert to begin with.
Yeah, Tolbert right now 143 ADP.
So he's like kind of on that fringe, because if you want to complete the stack, you might have to reach around.
Mm-hmm. I'll just ping him for now. We don't need to pick him.
We can just have him on the go in case we need it.
All right, so we're definitely not going to complete the Raiders stack unless no one takes Carr in the next 18 picks.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
A
lot of quarterbacks went off the board.
Yeah. Let's see. I wish there was a way. I wish it told you how many quarterbacks have been taken already. Like I don't even know what websites do that. Is it Yahoo? I think Yahoo does that in your regular fantasy drafts. Makes it very easy.
See, like some of these guys already have 2 quarterbacks drafting right now. Like this guy has 2 QBs. Good luck has 2 QBs.
Yeah, you're right.
Some of them have
Ben
0
Farrell
though.
has 2. Yeah, that's true.
Evil Empire has 0.
Yeah. I don't think you necessarily need to reach up and pick quarterbacks in these drafts.
No, me either. There's plenty of starters you're comfortable with late. Like if you ended up with Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan, it's not ideal, but those are 2 guys you're not worried about whatsoever, like missing games.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is one of my highest owned players in the puppy. The puppy closed already, but I think I had 33% Daniel Jones because
The
he's the
puppies,
quarterback.
I can't believe how quickly it closed. We're going to get a couple puppies though.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, it closed in, what was it, 3 weeks? Like, I think we only did 1 or 2 puppies on stream, and I did 15 total.
I only did one with you, so you maybe did one with Savoca. Chase Edmonds off the board at 10.01. It's pretty crazy to me.
Oh, do you like him or no?
I do like him.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote a thread on Twitter. I've been running these threads for the fantasy Twitter every day, and one of them was on Edmonds. Nothing super crazy, but I think that people are kind of sleeping on him right now.
How's the algo treating you?
The algorithm's treating me all right. I mean, not amazing. No Salvetre, of course.
We're getting pretty close to getting some players that I like a lot here. I think right now, well, obviously we're trying to complete the car stack, but I personally like James Cook a lot. I think just getting pieces of that Buffalo team, something you want. Gronk is another player that we've been talking about a lot, similar to Trey Lance, where he's just unbelievably, oh yeah, we missed our stack.
This motherfucker took 3 quarterbacks. Fuck you, Ben Farrell. Pal.
Unless you're in the chat, then...
If you're in the chat, he did that on purpose, though, so it's funny.
Unless you're in the chat, Ben. All right, so we don't have Raiders stack. That's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, we still have the players. We just don't have Derek Carr. Is what it is.
That's
James
another.
Cook came up forward.
Yeah, Gronk. Okay, we missed our top 3 guys. I mean, kind of to be expected at this point in the draft, especially when we're drafting on the turn.
Yeah. Spock brought up in the. Oh,
sorry, go. I was going to say, can you scroll down to our team again so I can see the full roster? Yeah. All right, so we have 3 RBs, 4 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 QB.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Spock brought up in the chat how he likes Rashad Penny in the 11th round. I agree. I like Rashad Penny as well.
Yeah, my 2 favorite players here would be Penny and Galladay.
Yeah. You seem to really like Galladay. I knew that's what you were going to say.
I mean, I just like taking shots on New York because none of them are expensive. Kadarius went a little bit ahead of this, but he's also not expensive if he would have been in our reach. And like Galladay might be the wide receiver 1. Tony might be the wide receiver 1. They're both like 10th round picks and later.
Agreed. All right, so Friarmouth came off of the board. Now we are definitely going to have to go with. Who do you want to go here? You want to go Galladay first?
Yeah, I would go Galladay first, but I mean, picking back to back doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so Galladay and Penny then.
Yep.
Alrighty, sounds good. Sorry, I had to fucking mute my TV because my screen on my TV is the white screen that like illuminates my face. And it's on YouTube, so there's ads. And it was about to blast an ad onto the microphone. It would have been very loud. Luckily, I have inhumane reactions and was able to stop that. So I really do like these picks that we have so far. Our team seems very balanced.
I agree with you.
Very balanced approach to the draft.
And we spent some pretty good picks on quarterback and tight end too. So I actually feel good about the ones we have.
Agreed.
The top of the receiver board right now is like super risky to me, which is why I've been trying to take receivers I feel good about early because I don't feel good about anybody who's on the board right now at the top.
Yeah. Jameson Williams, I don't know why he's going this high, if I'm being honest with you, right? Not expected to be ready by training camp.
Dude, he might miss
like 5
games. He might miss 12 games. He tore his ACL in January.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
He might miss all the games.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
No, dude, like all it takes for an ACL to be a season-long injury, a full year injury, is one little setback in rehab.
Definitely.
I think it's like a 50% chance he misses half the year or better.
Yeah, and then you can get what's his name? DJ Chark like 3 rounds later, right? DJ Chark. 148.
Well, dude, that's the thing with so many players. Like we need to, I think, be aggressively drafting these players behind ACL injuries because there's a 50% chance or better that they miss like 8 games. So Gallup, I think Tolbert and James Washington are people you should be taking aggressive flyers on. Chark and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Russell Gage. I think these are players that need to be aggressively drafted right now in case we get negative news and then they shoot up the board because they're being drafted at their floor. Like if you get positive news about Chris Godwin, Russell Gage's ADP is already being like him being the wide receiver 3 is already baked in.
Yeah. I mean, I think in redraft leagues, though, Russell Gage's, there's no way his ADP is going to be that high. Would you?
Oh, no,
Would
no.
you
I'm
agree?
talking strictly best ball.
No, I'm just saying. I think that in redraft leagues, he's probably going outside the top 12 rounds.
Yeah, I agree with you. But
Right.
I'm just trying to draft aggressively these wide receiver 2s and 3s behind ACL tears.
Captain Spock brought up Tim Patrick. How are you feeling on Tim Patrick? You like him? Because I have a lot of Tim Patrick.
Yeah,
And
man.
KJ
Love
Hamler.
Tim Patrick. He's been very good for being a UDFA out of Utah. He's been awesome.
I agree. Now,
Much
right
better QB.
All right. So with Deshaun Watson falling, do you feel comfortable taking Watson at all or no? Because I took him at pick 170, I think, like as my last pick the other day, just to do it, to get one share of him. Are you comfortable doing that? Or right now, are you just steering clear away? Because I used to just steer clear away.
I would only take him with my 18th round pick.
Okay. That makes sense. How many quarterbacks is evil? Oh, no, he only has 2. Okay. I was about to say, this guy.
Ben Farrell is 3.
Okay. I saw a tweet of a guy who drafted 9 quarterbacks.
He must be rich, just punting money off like that. Must be nice.
It must be nice, exactly.
Must be nice.
You're like putting everyone else in such a shitty situation, though. Like, no one else is going to win now.
I think whoever has just 2 starters is going to win.
Probably, yeah.
All right, we're coming up here, and how much time do we have?
We have 6 picks left. We have 1 quarterback, 4 running backs, 5 wideouts, and a tight end.
All right, the tight end board's kind of rough right now.
Yeah, I think there's probably a cutoff after Everett, and then after that, I think it's just like dead down here for me.
I'd rather have Higbee.
Oh yeah, no, I like Higbee better than Everett as well.
Oh, sorry.
After Everett, I think it's just like a downfall. Right?
I think
like
we have plenty of options up there. Receiver, it's pretty meh. Honestly, I'm probably drafting Chalk or Tolbert.
Gotcha.
Probably Tolbert because we have the stack. QB, what do we have?
Quarterback, T-Law, Jameis Winston, Danny Dimes.
Yeah, probably not going there yet. RB?
RB, let's see. We got Naheem Hines, Algier, Kenneth Gainwell, Davis Price, Darrell Williams, Khalil Herbert.
And the best value of the entire draft. You know who it is?
You talking about Gus Edwards?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gus.
Love Gus Edwards.
So do I. I have so much Gus Edwards. Today's video that's coming out later on the Fantasy Football channel, Gus Edwards is in there.
Props to Gus Edwards. Prior Rutgers. All right.
Alrighty. Wow, we said it at the same time. That was fucking crazy. All right, so we're going to go DJ Chark and Tolbert here, right? It feels like.
That's what I would do, yes.
Okay.
Nobody took our guys.
Yeah. One quarterback who I like, I know we're just going to make these picks later on. I think Tannehill's pretty interesting.
I think if that season goes poorly, he could get benched, but
okay.
I think that's worst case scenario, though. I mean, like this is so they're probably a playoff team. He's not getting benched in that situation. So I think there's maybe like a 10% chance he gets benched if they lose like a couple close games and then they're like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's low, but it's there, which it's not there for some other guys. But he's going really low if you're drafting for that ceiling outcome where they make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, Tannehill's also been a guy that in Tennessee has been pretty consistent being like a top 14 quarterback. Obviously, that's not what wins you an underdog draft, but could help you out.
It is in round 15, baby.
Yeah, it definitely is. Spock says he likes Gerald Everett. I like Gerald Everett as well. I have him. He's one of my highest owned players because I've been pretty aggressive on the Justin Herbert stacks.
Yeah, I think Everett's fine. I think he will be in a timeshare because his limitations as a blocker, but that's not necessarily a concern because he's still going to be out there for the downs of importance to him.
Yeah, and he's also going at pick 169.2. So most of the time, he's not going to be our number one guy.
That helps a lot. Pick 169.2.
Yeah, that's crazy. So We need probably one more running back, I would say, and that's it. Unless you don't feel comfortable with the running backs we have, but I say this is probably the most confident I've ever been with running backs that I've drafted.
I like our running back stable a lot. I would gladly take a player like Gus Edwards if he fell, and I don't know who else is on the board.
Okay, so
All right,
yeah,
I
Gus
won't
Edwards all
say
the way
them
down
all
there.
right now because we're like a round away, but there's definitely some players that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I agree. Tyrion Davis Price, I don't know if he's on the top of your board. He wouldn't be on mine, but I think there is reason to believe that somehow he just sees a crazy amount of touches in San Fran because that's just how things go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really volatile. If you were looking at anything like college production, efficiency metrics, athleticism, he doesn't check any box, not one, but Shanahan drafted him. So
Yeah, that's all you need,
maybe he
really.
gets 150 touches this year just because.
Yeah, I think
Like
that
he
could
was an
definitely happen.
objectively bad player at LSU. It blew my mind he got drafted that high.
Yeah, I mean Elijah Mitchell was very good last year, but for some reason, like he sneezes wrong on the sideline and his ass is on the bench.
He was also awesome in college, though. He just played for Louisiana Lafayette. Like he had maybe this best size adjusted speed score in all of last year's class. Awesome production. Just like Louisiana Lafayette is not a good school.
Definitely. All right, real quick, something I wanted to bring up with Deshaun Watson. If he is suspended the whole year, do you think Baker Mayfield plays at all? I'm going to say no. I think it's going to be Jacoby Brissett the whole time.
I think so too.
And that sucks for the Browns, obviously. But they kind of screwed themselves.
They did screw themselves.
Yeah.
Not sure they would win with Baker anyway. Maybe this is the best run out so they get a better draft pick.
Yeah, well, what does their draft pick matter, right? They don't have it.
That is true. Better run out for whoever has it now. All right.
Baker should tell them to go to hell. I agree. And do you think Khalil Shakir, I believe wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills, contribute as a rookie? There's so many receivers there that I would argue probably not, unless there's injuries.
Probably injuries, but he was an awesome prospect. Like, I don't know. He's the kind of guy similar to Gabe Davis, who smaller school, extremely productive, good athleticism. If there were a receiver that came off the board on day 3, he would be in probably like the top 3 or 4 I would pick to be able to crack the depth chart.
Okay.
He was sick at Boise State. Again, like it's deep there, but could he like beat out Isaiah McKenzie for the wide receiver 4? That previous role occupied like Gabe Davis when he was rookie? Yeah, maybe. I think that's worth betting on with your
Yeah,
last
no.
pick.
Yeah, I got you on that. So
He
we
was
are.
sick at Boise State.
Anyone looks sick at Boise State. That field just makes them look cool.
Yeah, rip Jay Ajayi.
Yeah, I love JJ as a Dolphins fan.
All right. How many picks? 3?
We are 3 away, and eventually we're gonna have to take another quarterback. But I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
we have
think
to
we
do
should
that.
look at them now. Who is up?
Zach Wilson, Tannehill, Mac Jones, Goff, Wentz, Mills,
Wilson
Mariota.
completes a stack for us.
Yes, as does Tannehill.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm just saying we don't have to go Tannehill. I'm not forcing that on you.
No,
I'm fine with either of them.
I forgot about Burks for a second. Okay, so I like both of them. Okay. If you have a preference, you can pick. I think they're both solid. I like Zach Wilson's running ability. Tannehill does that a little bit, but he's really like touchdown dependent.
Mm-hmm. I think Wilson probably has the higher upside, but Tannehill is probably the safer pick that I think could still finish inside the top 12.
I agree with that.
All right. So my lean probably would be Tannehill, but we can go Wilson if you want.
I'm fine with Tannehill. I think they're both fine.
Okay, so after we go Tannehill, then he's going to be the pick. Who do you want to go next?
I think we should go Gus Edwards if he's there.
Gus Edwards has been taken. I had him.
Dang it. Okay.
Smitty took him. What a savage.
I mean, it's smart. I'm probably taking one of the tight ends then. I know there's at least 2 that we like, 2 or 3.
Okay, so Higbee, let's just check the buy real quick. So by 6, we can't take anyone by 6. So all these guys are fine.
Yeah, for me, it's a slight lean towards Everett based on the offense, but I'm fine with both.
Okay, then let's go with Everett. I like both of them. I have pretty high ownership of both of them as my tight end too, because like I said, right after these 2 guys, there's no way I don't want anything to do with Noah Fant or Hayden Hurst or Evan Ingram.
So we could talk about the 2 of them like in conjunction with each other, Everett and Higbee. I think with Higbee, you know exactly what you're getting.
Exactly.
He's going to have a couple of weeks where he scores a touchdown, but more or less he's probably going to be between like 40 to 60 yards with 4 to 5 catches. Everett, with his receiving upside, has a legitimate chance to be like a spike week contributor for your offense with Justin Herbert, even if he's
Yeah.
not in a full-time role. So that's how I kind of view them. And depending on your roster construction, you may prefer one or the other depending on your build. They're very close for me, but the way we've constructed this, I would like to go Everett.
Gotcha. In a redraft league, I would definitely want Higby because I just feel more comfortable. Higby's probably just going to get me 8, 9 points a week, wherever it's going to either get you like 2 or probably 15.
Yes, agreed with that.
All right. Spock says he has Zach Wilson ranked outside his top 20 quarterback. Zero confidence. I don't even think I have Zach Wilson ranked inside my top 20, but I am still confident that he is. They're putting the weapons there for him, right? So if he doesn't perform, then he's probably not very good.
He's my QB 23, but like to your point, he's not getting benched.
Agreed. He's definitely not getting benched.
So you have at least the confidence with that. Like, can you pull up quarterbacks?
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right. So I think most of the players at the top aren't getting benched. Mariota, once you get there, that's where players get benched. But like Davis Mills, no mobility. Carson Wentz, no mobility, horrible offense. Goff, no mobility, horrible offense. Mac Jones, no mobility, horrible offense, at least for fantasy. And with Wilson, you have the chance for the offense to be much better, and he can run.
Mhm.
He has like the Patrick Mahomes to Josh Allen spectrum of mobility. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's definitely not a statue.
I agree. I think Jared Goff is probably going to end up winning the Best Ball Mania tournament because that's just something Jared Goff would do. Just like have some crazy week. I think he plays the Bears week 17, right? Just some crazy ass game against the Bears.
You have that tattooed. I don't.
No, that might be incorrect. Just off the top of my head. Best Ball Moderate in the chat says, if Kelsey went down, could Noah Gray be a league winner? I'm not sure how good he is, but the situation is obviously good. Yeah, the situation is good, but I don't think that he would be a league winner.
Noah Gray was a weird prospect coming out of Duke, where he went to school. He was primarily a receiving threat there. But correct me if I'm wrong, Blake Bell is still on the roster.
He is, I believe, yeah.
So I think that might become more of your 50-50 timeshare, whereas Kelsey can block and catch passes. I think Noah Gray, if you want to liken this to like at Gerald Everett, poor man's Gerald Everett, where he's mainly a receiver, and then Blake Bell is like, I don't know, your Nick Boyle blocker style guy. But I think they might split snaps.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I always draft in like those playoff best ball tournaments where like right at the end of the draft, it's like, oh, maybe the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl and Noah Gray scores, right? That's kind of my thought process when drafting him, but not in a regular redraft or best ball league.
Yeah, I feel that.
Justin Ross is fucking screaming up the board, right? Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, Short Gamer just took him in the 16th round. I don't think that's crazy. I'm just saying people are really high on him now, it appears.
He had a good camp. But they're going to keep 6 receivers, maybe. And I don't know if he makes the cut. Like, you're keeping Juju, Mecole, MVS, and Sky for sure. Who after that?
Yeah. I think it'll probably be Ross, to be honest with you.
I think Ross will make... He's a player that I would bet makes it too. But even then, in that scenario, unless he beats out like Sky or Juju, Mecole, MVS, he's still the wide receiver 5.
Gotcha. I mean, they still have my boy Josh Gordon there.
I was kind of writing him off, but they do.
All right, so we're about to be back up on the board. We have these 2 picks and then one more pick after this. 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 7 receivers, 2 tight ends. I don't think we need another quarterback or tight end. So I'd probably go 1 running back, 2 receivers based upon the running backs we have.
I think so too.
Okay, so looking at the board here, which way are you looking? Running back, receiver?
I'm fine with Mostert. He's a player that I think has a chance to be like a pretty decent contributor. I don't want OBJ again. He's an ACL thing. The receivers are pretty tough right now. Mostert would be my first one.
Okay, so even though we have 3 running backs, that would be the 3rd running back, and by 11, you're still fine doing that.
Yeah, I think so. We have 2 more picks to load up on receiver.
Okay, so now at receiver, my pick would probably be either Devin Duvernay, James Washington, or Paris Campbell.
I would go Paris Campbell.
Okay. Yeah, Paris Campbell, 2 years in a row, right? He got injured right off the rip of the season, right?
He might be the wide receiver 2 there. We don't know Alec Pierce is going to take the jump to the NFL level. He wasn't productive in college. He got drafted solely off athleticism.
Yeah. Best Ball Moderate brought up in the chat that Sky has a ridiculous ADP. Yeah, Sky Moore's ADP is a little high. A little high for me.
A little high for me too, considering he was
88.3.
Can you isolate just the Chiefs on here? Probably not now that we're in the draft. We would need to do this off the screen, I think. But we could Just talk about it at least, because Juju's going the highest. Yep,
At 57.5.
57.5. Sky is next.
Aldous Scantling 95.6.
So that's a little rich too for me, in my opinion. Mecole honestly might be the best value right now.
Yeah, but then again, how many years in a row are we going to get trapped by McCole Hardman?
I mean, how many years in a row are we going to get trapped by Juju? He's going at like 45, 55,
Oh,
whatever it is.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm not drafting Juju. I'm not touching that guy with a 10-foot pole, and he could be the number one receiver there. It wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
the thing you're saying about Mecole, you can say about MVS and Juju. But Mecole's the cheapest, which is why if you're just betting on some of them for the sake of what all like the cost is, their costs.
Yeah. Shout out to Short Gamer TV. You can just type in Chiefs and it just shows everyone up. I had no idea.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah. So now we can actually look at it better.
I think the best value on the team is Clyde.
Agreed.
But I'm okay with Mecole at his ADP.
I'm surprised Mahomes is the quarterback too. I guess Underdog a little bit more sharper than your at-home league, because I think in most at-home leagues, people are really kind of scared of Patrick Mahomes. Like the normal NFL fan seems kind of scared.
You think so? I kind of thought that they viewed him as like the de facto MVP.
No, see, that's how they used to view him. But then once Tyreek was gone, people started. I don't know. It just seemed like people were really nervous about Mahomes. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe it has to do with that last year 2 safety high look he was getting that theoretically couldn't figure out.
Mm-hmm. All right. We are going to be back up on the board in 10 picks. We have the last pick of the draft, right? How fun is that? I love that one. We have Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Our team is, we have a decent amount of rookies on the team. No rookie running backs, but we have 3 rookie wide receivers. So that's pretty good.
It was a good class. Hopefully they actually live up to it. We have Burks, Garrett Wilson. Who's our third?
And Jalen Tolbert.
Oh, yeah, Jalen Tolbert. South Alabama pride.
Yeah. I like Jalen Tolbert a ton. It really comes all down to Gallup, though. Like, Gallup might be healthy. He might not be.
It's the ACL thing, man. The ACL thing. I don't... It's so risky right now, which is why I think you can be aggressive with those guys behind him. You know?
Mm-hmm. Brian Edwards is a guy that I think is pretty interesting as well, because besides Drake London, like, could Brian Edwards be like the third receiving option there? I guess maybe Cordero Patterson is.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more interesting since the trade.
Mm-hmm.
I would take flyers on him. He was a solid prospect coming out, never put it together in Vegas.
Yeah, I like Brian Edwards. Looking at other receivers, if you kind of want to scroll down a lot, let's go. Maybe like, I don't know. I like Randall Cobb. I'm fucking crazy though. Maybe that's not for you.
I like Randall Cobb.
Okay. Maybe it's Savoca who doesn't like Randall Cobb at all, because I was trying to talk him into Randall Cobb. He did not seem he like that at all.
Why not?
Mari Rogers could also be kind of interesting. Maybe he surpasses all these guys, and he's the number 1 guy on the team. I doubt it. I mean, Lazard just
on all the cheap Packers.
Yeah. Is Emmanuel Sanders on a team yet?
Oh.
Is he just done?
I don't know. He might be taking the T.Y. Hilton approach.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. There's really no one when you scroll all the way down here. Shout out to Sean Jackson. Week 1, that guy is just always the best.
I think he's done for real.
Oh, he's definitely done. I also kind of like Velus Jones here. And again, the guy's like 20,000 years old, but Velus Jones could be the number 2 guy there. Maybe Byron Pringle is, but
he wasn't even the wide receiver 2 at Tennessee. Man, I understand your point. Like, that's a situation I do want to be taking bets on, just because if you get the wide receiver 2 right, nobody's really has them, or very few people at least. So your construction is probably unique just solely based on that. But
we got 20 seconds. So you just want to go Brian Edwards
or Cobb? Those would be the 2 guys I look at.
Okay. I like both of them. So let's go with Cobb. I like Cobb slightly more.
I also didn't realize we were on the clock right this second, but
no, I didn't realize we were either, but it was the last pick. So we got our team up here. Spock mentioned, what do you think about Trey Sermon real quick before we get on out of here? Because I think that there is still a chance he just magically is the number 1 running back, just like anyone could be in San Fran.
Yeah, I would bet against it, but he would be a guy, if you're playing a ton of these, I would probably sprinkle in as like a last round pick.
Gotcha. I agree, Spock. I think Campbell was a great pick for us. And then Carlos said, "Wow, I had no idea there was a best ball channel. There is a best ball channel. It's been this for like 2 months, 3 months, maybe. But yeah, there's going to be more content on here basically every single day.
Yeah,
So
Carlos, what's up? Thanks for joining
ho-
us.
hopefully you are having a good time watching this. So I'll recap our team real quick. We can maybe talk for maybe a couple minutes and then head on out of here. So Dak
Yep.
Prescott and Ryan Tannehill were our quarterbacks. Our running backs are Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, ETN, Penny, and Mostert. This seems like out of all the drafts we've done, this is the best running back core. Receivers, AJ Brown, Burks, Renfro, Garrett Wilson, Kenny Galladay, Jalen Tolbert, DJ Chark, Paris Campbell, Randall Cobb, and our tight ends are Darren Waller and Gerald Everett. I think this was a very solid draft overall.
Yeah, I think our weakest position is receiver, which is going to happen to a lot of people if you end up with running back heavy teams just because of how quickly it drops off. But I think we did a pretty solid blend, just taking value. So Burks, where we got him at pick 72, I think is fine. Ideally, the wide receiver one. And then you have safe players like Renfro, who is the target slot guy for Vegas. But then we have some upside plays as well. Garrett Wilson is a rookie. Tolbert is a rookie. Campbell is a player who's been hurt. Galladay is a player who battled injuries, but was a previous wide receiver one. So I like the blend at receiver, even though we didn't quite get the star power.
I mean, Cobb could be the number one receiver in targets in Green Bay.
That's so gross to think about, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, it sounds disgusting, right? It's 2022, but it's still possible. Maybe
I
they'll
was in
bring back
high
Jordy
school when
Nelson.
he was in the league.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you're younger than me.
Yeah. So that about does it. Do you have anything else to add on here? I really
Do
do
we have
like our
someone
running.
else in the chat in this, right? We have another team to look at.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and look at the other team.
I
Hop into
forget the name of the
draft.
team.
It's Short Gamer.
Short Gamer.
Shout out Short Gamer. He
Oh,
loves
he
us.
got a crazy value with Mahomes. I remember Mahomes went really late. 13 picks
Yes.
behind ADP.
Yeah, that's crazy. So Mahomes, Fields, running backs. He definitely has some great receivers. I can already tell from the running backs. Kenneth
He got
Walker,
some value
Stevenson,
too.
Spiller, Jamal Williams, Zamir White, and Mike Boone, the boy. I love Mike Boone. Wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel, Gabe Davis, Drake London, Brandon Ayuk, MVS, Corey Davis, Justin Ross, and then he has Pitts and Komet. So he went with the MVS, Justin Ross, Pat Mahomes stack.
He's got like 5 wide receiver ones. Or if you include Pitts. Like you feel
Yeah.
awesome about Chase, Debo, Pitts. You feel really dang good about Gabe Davis and Drake London. And then you blended that with like Ayuk as a bounce back candidate who's been very efficient when he's been given a chance by Shanahan. And then like if he lucks his way into MVS or Justin Ross being like the wide receiver 1 or 2, you feel really good about this team.
Yeah, this team is amazing. I mean, as long as some of these running backs just have their weeks and hit, right?
So he drafted a lot of timeshare backs too with upside. So Jamal Williams is a DeAndre Swift injury away from being the bell cow, and he has a role when healthy. Zamir White is probably going to play a role based on all indications coming out of Las Vegas. Now, is that a meaningful role? I'm not sure, but he got him at pick 197. So if he plays any sort of downs, that's awesome. Spiller, we already know Eckler doesn't handle a 3-down workload. So if Spiller can get a couple touchdowns, there's ways where you can see this lineup winning.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I think he had a great draft. In the chat, real quick, we'll just answer the last couple questions. Then we'll get out of here. Lazard, Tony, Gage, MVS, all going the late 80s to 90s range. Who are the best picks? In my opinion, my favorite pick out of that group would be Lazard and Kadarius Tony. If we're talking about best ball, talking about redraft is probably the same answer.
I would go Tony, Gage, Lazard, MVS. But you know me, I'm drafting Gage aggressively because of Godwin's injury.
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah, Mahomes, to me, Mahomes has been not really falling in best ball drafts, but in redraft, I think we are going to see him fall. And then Tony and Lazard are your favorite for that. Yeah, I like Tony a ton this year. It seems like no one's talking up Tony, despite of how good he looked last year.
I feel like I'd listen to all these places that are hyping up the Giants because of Brian Daboll. They're surrounding Daniel Jones with weapons. They upgraded the O-line a little bit, but then they come off the board around to pick 100 for Galladay's in like the 120s. But Tony's really cheap right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. The upside there in New York is just so high. So thank you guys all so much for watching. You got anything to add here before we head on out?
No, thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate you joining us for Mondays in June.
Yes. And we're going to be here every single Monday. If you guys enjoyed today's stream, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button. And if you want to play on Underdog, just like we did today, promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, will get you a $100 first match deposit bonus. That is an extra $100 you can use 4 entries into Best Ball Mania 3, or you can just wait for the puppy number 2 whenever that releases and get 20 free entries into that. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you guys did end up enjoying, and I will see you guys probably soon with another video, but I'll be back next Monday with the live streams. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys all have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.